Hello, everyone. So today we're just going to do a very light conversation. If you look at the subject box above, you can see that we're just going to do a conversation today about the 7 reasons why selfishness is the key to happiness. And I'll tell you the motivation behind that conversation in just a little bit. Hi, Debbie. So if anyone's here, feel free to get checked in. Let us know who's here. But also, before we get, hi, my mother-in-law. So before we get started, I just wanted to tell everybody what to expect from Bloom in the upcoming months. So with the holiday seasons coming up, coming up, we are going to be going a little bit lighter on our next episodes. But I have quite a few guests that we're still going to pop in. Oh my goodness, you probably hear the kids that are going to pop in and share some great advice and tips and things like that to make sure we're still feeling empowered and uplifted. But there may not be a new episode every week. So just pay attention to your inbox. Make sure that you're going onto our website, www.whatwouldbloom.do. And we're working behind the scenes on a lot of new exciting programs and things like that. I'm calling it Bloom 2.0 that we're going to be unveiling next year on January 18th. For the ones who've been with us for quite some time, you know that Bloom's birthday. Hi, Tracy. I love you. I know you're going to get it in on this topic. You're going to offer some good insight. So everyone knows that Bloom was born on January 18th of this year, and I cannot believe that it's almost been a year. And so I've been working hard with some other people behind the scenes to really do some exciting things for next year for Bloom 2.0. So thank you all for being here with us today, and I'm excited for everything that's coming, and I'm just eternally grateful. But the reason why I picked this topic just to talk about, yes, Bloom 2.0, to talk about tonight real quickly is because being selfish has gotten so much bad light, in my opinion. For myself, I've always considered it to be a bad word, but it's not necessarily a bad word. And the ones who know me, oh my goodness, for the ones that know me personally, know I have been going through it stress-wise over the last several weeks, and I had an epiphany recently, and it's because I am too much of a people pleaser. So while you're growing, I'm growing too, and so I had to have a look in the mirror. The ones who probably caught the recent blog post about how to establish boundaries, that was the inspiration behind that. So the details of the issue never really even matters. I mean, you just really have to use everything that happens to you as an opportunity to learn and to grow. And so I realized that there was a flaw in myself, is that I was valuing other people's opinions more than my own, which is terrible, 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 terrible. So I truly believe that God gives us our own intuition to help us have discernment for different environments and situations that we put ourselves into. And so I have had a terrible habit of allowing myself to be in a situation or situations that may have not felt good to me. And so my intuition would say, no, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't go there. But then I would say yes, just so I can seem like the nice person, always there for everyone else, for an example. And that will burn you every time. And so let me know, do we have any people pleasers in here, or anyone that ever has an issue with saying no? Or do you think about other people's opinions more than your own? Is that something that you've had struggles with in the past? I want to see what everyone's saying in the comments. So while you're going to type in your responses in, I took some notes because this was something that I really wanted to work through. And so that's why I wanted to talk about it tonight. And so the number one reason why Tracy says no is her favorite word. I love that. The number one reason why selfishness, I believe, is the key to happiness is because, number one, it reinforces that you are your greatest protector. No one knows you better than you. And so, I mean, at the end of the day, you are supposed to be the lead in your life and take charge and protect yourself. It's all about that self-love. And so if we're not doing the work that we need to do to nurture ourselves, And people, we will constantly find ourselves just bitter constantly and just upset with other people because they're accomplishing their own agenda. And so, we have to hold the key to our own hearts and make sure that we're protecting ourselves first, because naturally, as women, I believe that we can be naturally people pleasers. Because for me, I've always heard about what a woman is supposed to do for a man, and I love my husband. I want to be there beside him and grow with him. But at the end of the day, there should be, in my opinion, no compromise. And so we need to stand firm in both in who we are individually and come up with a solution that fits both of our needs. And so if I am not staying true to myself in any relationship that I have, whether it's a friendship or business partnership, then I am betraying myself. And so betraying yourself feels horrible. So please do not do that. So Debbie says, unfortunately, me, but now that I'm getting older, saying no is music to my ears. I love that. Tracy says you have to utilize the no word, or you are often by yourself, overextending yourself to the point of exhaustion. That is so true. People will love to just use you. So you have to just be honest with yourself. And I always say too, if you lie to someone, whether it's about your opinion or anything, that means you are fearful of that person. So we have to stay true to who we are and be honest with ourselves, enough to say, I don't need this relationship. I don't need to be put in this environment if it's not going to connect or resonate with who I truly am. And so let's not be liars. Don't lie about yourself and what you authentically and truly feel. So the second one, another reason why selfishness is the key to happiness, and it means that you won't blame others when things go wrong. I mean, how many times, let me know if you all have had this situation where something has not gone the way that you want it to go, and you're sitting there just pointing the finger at the other person saying, you should have done this and you should have done that, whether it's a relationship with your spouse or arguing with your spouse or a friendship or something like that. You're constantly pointing the fingers. And so you're exerting so much unnecessary energy that would not have even been the case if you had just been honest with yourself and said to yourself, for example, I don't like this restaurant. It's not my preference. I don't care. And if your friend says, well, you know what? I don't like it either. Well, let's find something else that we both like, just to keep the example simple. You won't be in thank you, Angela. She says she completely agrees. Yes, Tracy, same thing. So if we're going to be honest with ourselves, we have to make sure that we're not placing ourselves in a position to constantly blame others, because if we're blaming others for being upset and unhappy, that means we're giving our control away. And so we have to continue. And again, I said, this is something that I'm working on, and this is the epiphany that I had. And so that's the reason why I want to have this conversation. But we have to be true and honest to ourselves and make sure that we hold the power within, and stand firm that if something that does not align with us again, then it's just not worth our time. And so that's the second thing. Number two, it makes you focus on quality versus quantity. Why would we ever want people around us that do not resonate with the person that we are? It just doesn't make sense. And so sometimes, a lot of times, it's so easy for us to meet someone and say, you know what, this person just doesn't have my same values. I'm not going to talk to them. I'm not going to circle or be around them. But it's even harder to do it when it is family. And so that a lot of times is the biggest challenge, is making sure that you stay true to who you are, not even just with friends, but with family too. Because if people truly love you, if people truly respect you, then they will respect your boundaries, and they will respect your time, and they will respect your feelings. Yeah, so my mother-in-law said it's tough, especially if you enjoy seeing people happy, but occasionally you think there's a void of others reciprocating. Yeah. And that's hard too, because you want the best for people, and you want to see people, you have a vision of how things are supposed to be for them, and you can fill that void. But at the end of the day, people have to do the work for themselves. And again, it goes back to number two. So if we're being honest and truthful with ourselves, it means that we won't put ourselves in a position to blame others. And so if someone really wants to work with you on a project, or if somebody really wants to partner with you or be in a relationship with you, then they have to meet you at least halfway. And so, wanting to see someone else happy more than you're wanting to see someone else happy more than wanting you to your own self to experience happiness, if that makes sense, is like you're sacrificing your soul for the fulfillment of others, and that is almost like the ultimate form of betrayal, because we should be our best friends. I mean, honestly, we should love ourselves and show people how to treat ourselves, and show people how to treat us. And so, if we'll betray our own self and the things that we value that easily, then we're teaching other people to walk all over us. And so, it's almost creating an environment where people can just betray you and just hurt you and neglect you, because they're seeing that you're willing to give them everything that you have in order for them to be happy and successful. And unfortunately, sometimes, people will take advantage of that. And so Kim says, as I evolve, some of the people that I once allowed in my space, I don't feel the need to share the same space with them any longer. Not the same energy I want in my life anymore. Yeah, that's true. Yep. Shannon says, so true. Tracy says, yep, Kim, that's so true. And like you said, sometimes we evolve, and sometimes we think about, being loyal, and that we have to continue to make sure we have the same people around us that we used to be around, that used to be around us, for example, when we were, in our teens or in our 20s. And at the end of the day, that's a part of self-love too. So we're evolving. And sometimes the people who, once matched our energy may not match your energy now. And so, if you keep them around, then it's almost like you're stunting your own growth. And so it goes back to that saying, I forgot who said it, where it's like, you have to make sure that you're around people that sharpen you. And if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to go to a new room. And so Tracy said, if you're not evolving, you're not growing. Exactly. And so, pay attention to the things that feel good to you. And especially, a lot of us are at least in our mid 30s, 40s and above. I think that a lot of us have had those experiences now where, you walk into an environment, you walk into a space, and you can feel that tingly sensation when you feel happy. Or you walk into a clothing store and you can feel that tingly sensation when you feel happy. But then you can also, if you're following your intuition, you may walk into a space, you have a conversation with a person, you're like, I can't put my finger on it, but there's something about this person that just isn't right. And so, those are the type of situations that we have to make sure that we're avoiding, because again, it's about protecting ourselves and our inner peace. Yep, LaBarbara said, just like flowers, they can't grow and bloom if the soil and environment isn't right. 50 plus, Debbie. Debbie said 50 plus. Ain't nobody got time for that. Yes. 50 and older club. Yes, but you're right. Just like flowers, we can't grow and bloom if the soil and the environment is not right. And so, even for me, I found myself seeing people, and I would be upset, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this person is so selfish. They're always doing exactly what they need to do to succeed. And, I'm such a giver, and, I just want to help people, and I'm helping this person, and they just seem so happy and they're thriving. And then next thing you know, I'm the one that's bitter. Well, sometimes they may not be doing anything wrong. It's me that's doing something wrong. If I have an important meeting that I care about and somebody needs me to take them to the airport, if I'm going to miss my meeting, if I say, sure, I'll take you to the airport, but I really wanted to attend this meeting, is it wrong that they asked me to take them to the airport, or is it wrong that I said yes and I betrayed myself? And so, sometimes you got to look at yourself in the mirror and say, this person isn't wrong for asking you this question. What was wrong is that you didn't want to do it and you said yes anyway. And so, it just goes back to that whole concept of, we have to be our best friends and a gatekeeper to our heart. And, we just have to stay true to who we are. And so the fourth reason on why being selfish is actually the key to happiness. It is because it will train your perceptive powers. And so we talked about this a little bit, but being selfish actually gives you time to like step back, and think about what you want. You know, it's like you see a comment post on Facebook, and you know it's egregious and it bothers you, but before you actually respond, you scroll down and you see, well, what's everybody else saying before I form my own opinion? And so if we're taking the time to really get to know ourselves and form our own opinion and validate our own opinions, because as long as we feel it, then that's enough. We shouldn't have to take it to somebody else and say, dude, am I tripping? Is something wrong? Should I be thinking this? No, the fact that you feel it and you have an issue validates the fact that you should not perceive that your feelings are valid, that you're in an uncomfortable situation or environment, and enough is enough, and that's okay. And we do not have to provide a justification or explanation. And so, if we get to the point where we are understanding that ourselves and what we need to bloom, then our perceptive powers will continue to develop, and we will be more intuitive, and our gut-like instincts will come to the forefront. That is honestly one of the greatest gifts I truly believe that we can have, is our gut-like instincts. And so, that's the ability for us to realize when we're in a situation that's uncomfortable or an environment that we do not like. And so we have to really listen to that. That's our superpower. Shannon says we have to learn how to stop volunteering ourselves for others, before volunteering for ourselves. Yeah, yes. So I'm sure a lot of people in here are actually moms. One of the things that was very challenging for me, especially when I first became a mom, is that you constantly hear the narrative of once you become a parent, it's no longer about you. It's no longer about you or what you need and things like that. And honestly, it's the total opposite. Of course, my babies are it for me. I love my children, but my children will never go without. But at the end of the day, I cannot be a good parent to them unless I am nurturing myself. And so, that has taken a lot of work, and it's still a lot of work, where I'm really trying to put myself in the forefront to make sure that, doing simple things like waking up earlier than everybody else wakes up in the house, and just having my own time to myself to like collect my thoughts, form my own opinions, meditate, affirmations and things like that. So I'm not immediately waking up and having to be of service to everyone else, positioning myself to serve myself first. So, as soon as if Sean cooks, don't get me wrong, but let's say if he walks into the kitchen and he doesn't see, something made in the kitchen, he gets upset, and I'm not lashing out on him unnecessarily, even though we don't have that relationship. So I don't know why I use that as an example, but, it's just basically, so I'm nurturing myself. So, I'm not lashing out on people unnecessarily. And unfortunately, that's still a juggling act for me. I'm not trying to sit up here and, say that I mastered these things. But these are definitely issues and problem areas that I've identified in myself that I'm working on. And I'm still evolving, as we all are. So, okay, Kim says, sorry, no, my new favorite phrase. Shannon says, me too. Yep. So, yep. No is a great word to use, because no with no explanation. That's all it should ever be, is no, or I don't have time for that. Someone gave me a really good one recently. Was it you, Kim? I think you said something about that's not on my agenda for today, or something like that. It was something like that. Somebody said it, and if I remember exactly what it was, or Kim, if you remember, post it in the comments so we can definitely share, because it was one that made me laugh. And so the fifth reason of why being selfish is actually the key to happiness is it will make you healthier. Come on, guys. Like, oh my goodness, I feel like men do this so well. And I know we have a man in here, Sean. But you guys, like, men, they normally get things done when they want to get it done. And honestly, I truly admire that. And so, we have to make sure that we're accomplishing our goals and our objectives too, because if not, we're going to be, upset and bitter and behind, and then we're going to be stressed, and stress is terrible for our body. It's terrible for our body. It's terrible for our careers. It's terrible for everything. And so that is a big one too. It will make you healthier. Disappointment and unnecessary stress is just not needed. Debbie said, it took me a long time to realize this, but in order to be the best me that I could be to others, I have to be the best me to myself. I love that, Debbie. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's so true. That's so true. Yeah. So one of the things Portia said, hi, Portia. Portia said, because their wives do everything else. That's my sister-in-law. Oh, yeah. Oh, I love that. That's so true. But at what point, that's just okay. So I want to talk about what Portia said for a second, because their wives would do everything else. Because I actually had a moment like that with Sean. And he was like, well, I didn't know that you needed help with this and you needed help with that. And I'm like, well, you should just see. You should just know. Yeah, if it's not on his calendar, it's not getting done, right? So feeding the kids is on your calendar, right? So, but anyway, so he's like, well, I didn't know that you needed help with this and you needed help with that. And I realized, and I was like, what, I think I have an issue. Not that initiative isn't a good thing, but I had also recognized that I had an issue with asking for help. And so I would literally get to the point of exhaustion where I'm just like doing this, doing that. And I'm just like, you know what? Why don't I open up my mouth and delegate, for example? You know what I mean? Or say, you know what? This is what we need to collectively as a family, what we need to accomplish for today. Okay. You're really good at this. Can you do these 2 things? I'm really good at this. I'll do these 4 things. You're really great at that. Can you do this 1 thing, for example? And so, communicating exactly what you need done is very important. And so, so we're not getting to the point where we feel stressed or overloaded. And even if we do feel stressed, trying to figure out a way to mitigate that so it's not like an ongoing cycle. So if we're blowing up every quarter, for example, like figure out, what's causing this stress so we can like find a solution together. So the next quarter won't be a reflection of the third quarter, for example. And so if you have partnerships in your life that really care about you, they should really support you in all of your efforts. And so Tracy says, men really do have it down to a science. They're actually pros at it. There are so many articles written about it. I do believe that. I do believe that. Yeah, Kim says, yes, the video on Instagram and Facebook. No, I don't think it's part of my journey today. Yeah, that's exactly it. So, yep, that's what Kim said to me. She mentioned that to me when we were on the phone last week. No, I don't think that's part of my journey. So that was actually a very cute phrase. And so one of the things that I work on, that I encourage everybody else to work on, is that if something does not resonate with you, say no. And so I thought that was a beautiful way. I'm actually going to start using that too. The first person that asks me for something, I'm just going to say, no, that's actually not part of my journey today. Blink 5 times. And then that's it. So yeah, that's really beautiful. Kim says Sean Donnell is the same way. But Portia, you're right. And so you said that we take on a lot. They don't assume. We literally have to ask. I had to let that stop bothering me. So yeah, I think that's the thing that a lot of us tend to do in most of our relationships, even professional relationships too. And that sometimes may seem a lot easier. But sometimes even professional relationships, I realize that, if I needed something, I, felt better about doing it my way, because I felt like, maybe someone else may not have, have the same passion as I do. And so that I end up putting myself in a position where I just get overwhelmed. But, actually creating a space for your voice is really important. And so just speaking up speaks volumes, because a lot of times you may have good people around you that really do want to help. They just don't know how they fit into the equation. And at least if we ask for help, or, we try to delegate some responsibilities and somebody falls short, at least we know who we can rely on. And so, LaBarbara says, sometimes I think men may not volunteer to help because they're afraid to do it to our satisfaction and don't want to hear negative feedback. That could be a good point too. We have any men in here? Is that the truth? Is that how you feel? I'm curious. And so this, while people are answering that, so the sixth thing is that being selfish actually improves your self-worth. Yeah, so no one can look out for you. And basically what that means is nobody can look out for you but you. So you have to really appreciate yourself and show value and care to yourself. And so that's what it means, we mean by it actually increases your self-worth. Because you meet someone that just takes great care of themselves, whether it's physically, emotionally, mentally, and all those different things, it shows you that those type of people garner a certain level of respect. Those are the people where you can't walk into their space with attitude or aggression. You automatically change your demeanor because you feel like you're in the presence of greatness, for example. And so it causes you to adjust your tone in your environment, just so that you make sure that you are garnishing respect and admiration for that person, because you can truly see that they love themselves so much. And so, that's one of the things that we have to continue to do for ourselves as well. Hold ourselves to great regard, cherish ourselves, love ourselves, cater to ourselves, take yourself on a date, spend time with yourself. One of the things that, it was actually Sean's idea, which was fantastic. My girlfriends know Sean suggested, why don't you just get a hotel room downtown and just spend, you have a night to yourself where you can just spend time by yourself. And that was like, oh my goodness, why didn't I even think of that for myself? But I'm so happy and grateful that he actually thought of that, because it's a great idea. And in my initial thought, even though I was like, oh my goodness, that was a great idea. I can, go do yoga or whatever I want to do, just spend time by myself. But my second thought actually was, what am I going to do with me? What am I going to do with me? And that's actually kind of sad when you think about it. At one point in time, I was, single and spent a ton of time by myself. And now I'm so used to having the voice of others around me that sometimes the initial idea, even spending time by myself, feels lonely. But it's needed in order to really reevaluate myself and get to know myself so I can present my best self to others. And so, that's definitely one of the things I am going to start doing quarterly. I am grateful that my husband made that suggestion. I think that's definitely what I need, because at the end of the day, we have to, stay balanced. Okay, so Debbie says my husband does it wrong on purpose, so I don't ask him to do it again. Oh my goodness, I think it's reverse psychology. Oh man, are you serious? Oh, that's my brother. That is so funny. Oh my goodness, that's so good. Oh man, I love that. Thank you guys. And so the seventh reason why it is good to be selfish is it helps you deal with the world around you. So it goes back to that same philosophy that we talked about briefly already, but just to reinforce it, is that you cannot be of service to others unless you are of service to yourself first, and that you are happy and content with your own life. And so if we are not, then we will constantly be distracted and upset about the things that are happening around us. And we will not be able to serve and love and care and take care of anyone else. And so it goes back to that same thought process: is you cannot give what you don't have. And giving what you don't have is actually a terrible idea, because it will deplete your own energy. So we have to make sure that we are being selfish and focusing on our own personal growth and define what that looks like for us, no matter what stage of life you are in. And whether it doesn't have to be just professionally. It doesn't have to mean that, you want to be the CEO of a company or a supervisor. what does personal growth look like for you in your life? And what does happiness look like for you in your own life? Whether you're taking more vacations a year, or you're taking time off by yourself, or just doing things where you just feel more centered, actually taking the time to define what that looks like for you and actually creating a plan to get there is very important. And so I know that when I'm feeling my best self and when I'm happy and content, I give better love to my family, I give better love to my husband, I give better love to my children and to my associates, and just strangers, and to my family members. That's the times where I'm going to the grocery store and I'm just radiating light. And so, I'm just speaking to people randomly, and just by being, positive, you just never know what other people are going through. But just being positive and taking care of yourself, you could walk outside your house and be a blessing to someone's day, because you just never know what people are going through. And so, but don't make the journey about being of service to others the number one priority. It's more so the number one priority should be your contentment with yourself and your life, and just making sure that you are experiencing a journey in a life filled with fulfillment and happiness, because you matter. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, is what do you want? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you loving yourself? And showing people how they're supposed to treat you. And so, so let's read through some of the comments. So Kim says, I remember when you asked me what happiness means to me. Oh yeah, I remember that. And I've been so focused on everyone else's happiness that I couldn't identify it for myself. So I'd probably be in the same boat if I had a night to myself. What do I do with me? Yeah, that's big. I'm so happy that you said that. Thank you for sharing that, Kim, because honestly, I'm going to encourage, I don't know if anybody else does that. Do you ever get a night by yourself, whether you go to a hotel room or a spa or whatever, just for the whole night? Has anyone here actually spent a whole night by themselves? I'm nervously excited about doing it. I'm actually going to document the whole process, not the night of, but the journey afterwards and how it makes me feel. But I do think it's important, and it's a note to what Kim says, because we've had side conversations about this before, that, as we evolve, we have children, we have husbands, we have, we're more mature now. It's important for us to know, what we want, and that has changed versus, what we wanted 15 years ago, for example, when we were single, living our Sex in the City lives. And so, as we continue to evolve, we really have to sit down with ourselves and just reevaluate our mind, body, and spirit, and just ask ourselves that question. So I want to challenge everyone that's here to really answer that same question that Kim pointed out that we discussed together, is what does happiness look like for you? And don't connect it to anything outside of who you are either. Don't connect it to your children, don't connect it to your spouse, but what does happiness look like for you? And I'd be curious to hear what everyone comes back with that. Yes, Debbie says you do all things, Kimmy, you deserve it. So that's, I love you guys. And, again, throughout this entire journey with Bloom, I really want this to be a platform where we can be just open and honest with each other. And so if we ever have any epiphanies or any moments that we want to collectively share here, this is what this is all about. I don't sit here and pretend to be perfect. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation about selfishness, because this was a big moment for me. And so, I have changed, I have evolved, and I'm continuing to change. And throughout the process of becoming more selfish, I know I'm going to upset some people. And that's okay. Because when people are used to you feeding them and giving them things that feel good to themselves, even though it does not feel good to you, when they are cut off from that source of feel good, it is going to feel terrible to them. And so that is some of the repercussions when you're making that transition to be and live a more authentic life, that is going to hurt some people's feelings. But being you should be more important. And so, quality over quantity. I just want to make sure that you continue to remember that, because if someone truly loves you, they will not force you to betray yourself in order to satisfy and fill their need. And so, so I just wanted to leave everybody with that. I want to thank everybody for the conversation in the chats. This was really, 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 really good. You guys give me great energy, and I just love you guys. And so I just hope that this discussion that we had tonight just hopes hopefully changes your perspective. Share it with others. Let's have some dialogue about this, even on the Bloom Facebook page. I want you also to check out. I wrote a blog post too. It's called "Have You Been Unfaithful?" And it's all about establishing boundaries for yourself and in your life. And so read that, see some key tips that I suggested to help you establish some boundaries in your life. And I just hope everybody has a fantastic day. So as I said earlier, a lot of the Bloom discussions, since we're in holiday season, and I'm working on a lot of great stuff behind the scenes. The episodes may be a little bit few and far in between, but you just make sure that you check your inbox, because I will send everyone invites to any upcoming and new episodes that are happening on our page. And so just make sure that you catch into that. But we're going to be blogging about so many different things. Make sure you take a look at our website. Doing a kitchen renovation, which is very, very stressful. A total kitchen renovation, knocking out all the cabinets, etc. And many people have asked that I document the process. And so you're going to see that on our page, our website, actually. Tons of other stuff. Again, we have Cindy Small. She's our contributing writer, and she is amazing. So she definitely has some stories. She has her first story coming out on Wednesday. So make sure you subscribe so you can get notifications so you can read Cindy's life story, one of her short stories, I should say. And so I love you guys. And LaBarbara says, as a senior and retiree, I'm happy with traveling, staying at resorts, etc. After taking care of the home front for 50 plus years, you want to just enjoy life. You're never too old to bloom. I love that. I love that. Yeah. Yeah. I want everyone to do exactly as my mother-in-law said, enjoy life. It is yours. It is absolutely yours. You're the gatekeeper of your happiness. You deserve joy every single moment of your day. And I want you to give yourself that gift, but don't withhold it from yourself any longer. A new chapter starts now. So I love you guys. Stay tuned for more amazing things to come into the future, and walk forth with greatness and continue to bloom. Have a wonderful night.